This video came up recently, and it was posted a couple months ago now, but I wanted to watch it just because it caught my attention. It's called Life is Bullsh Rant by a Depressed Young Man. It's one of the many instances of people who, unfortunately, are suffering right now. Now, we've already talked about how, despite the fact that we hear a lot about this male loneliness epidemic, Americans overall are very, very lonely right now. Men and women are incredibly lonely. Some studies suggest women might even be slightly more lonely, or at least report more loneliness at slightly higher rates than men. But regardless, it's not a contest. It's not a competition. It's just the sad truth of the matter. I think that it's not so much an epidemic of male loneliness. It seems to be an epidemic of loneliness and sadness kind of over the entire country. But it's that the way that you go about addressing that could potentially be different. So the problem is that men right now oftentimes don't have a proper outlet for expressing their feelings, whereas women are oftentimes more encouraged to be emotionally expressive. This leads to a lot of men suppressing their emotions. So whereas men and women might be lonely at similar rates, the way that you go about dealing with those feelings of loneliness or depression or despair could be different, and not because men and women are different, but because of the socialization, unfortunately, being different and being gendered. I have also checked in on this guy's channel, and he is okay. Nothing terrible happened, or he didn't do anything bad or anything like that. It's just thought we'd just check it out.
I just want to come out here and I want to talk, say something, do something before I feel like I'm going to lose my mind. I guess I'm trying to get away from all this shit, but you can't. It's impossible. You have to be around people. Yet people suck. People don't care about you. If you're a little weird or you're a little awkward, people hate you. They don't want to be around you. And they don't care about any of your issues or how you feel whatsoever. That's the truth. I'm just tired of like feeling this way, you know? Like,
okay, so like the first thing I can see, so first of all, I can totally empathize with feeling like misunderstood, or like you just can't really like connect with somebody or get like closer to somebody or something like that. I can understand that. However, the big problem here right off the bat that's going to just contribute to like the continuation of feeling depressed, most likely, or at least just make it worse, is the assumption that this is true. Like you're taking like this pessimistic truth standpoint of like, well, I'm just saying the cold hard facts. It's something that I've done before also, especially when I'm more depressed. I'll be more like, people just don't care, and that's just the truth. That's a fact. That's bullshit. Maybe you're surrounded right now by people who misunderstand you. Maybe you're being mistreated by your community or people around you. That doesn't mean that that is everybody. That doesn't mean that that's the whole world. However weird you might think you are, there are probably 10 billion people that are, there are probably several other people that are probably way weirder than you are, okay? And the assumption that just if you're different, no one's gonna like you, or like, well, I'm different, so no one's gonna like me. Well, why wouldn't you try? You probably wouldn't even try to make friends if you have already just accepted that you're awkward and nobody's gonna like you. That's not true.
like I'm stuck, I'm trapped, I'm bored. There's nothing to do. Everything about life has to do with other people, and I don't want to be around other people anymore, because all it is disappointment every time. It's like they want you to be a certain way, but I can't be that way. I feel like I'm not supposed to be.
So then maybe there are, again, expectations that are contributing to this. We know that there are multiple different kinds of depression, and there is a type of depression called circumstantial or situational depression, which is just that, depression that stems from a direct circumstance or environment that you're in. If you're in an environment in which you are expected to do something or be a certain way, and you don't want to fit into that, that can be crushing. That could crush anybody's spirit. Maybe the key is to get out of that environment, whatever it could be. Again, that's assuming that there's something situational at play. I'm just kind of going based on what he's saying.
Part of this society, I don't fit in it. It's like really irritating, man. I want to just drive away. Like, I'm here in the back of the parking lot and I just want to be by myself. This is like the most peaceful for me. to just be on my own, just away from people. Just, I try so hard to try and be normal, to be kind to others, to try and just fit in and create like relationships, but it's like impossible. I don't know, people just, if they don't like you, they don't like you. And it is what it is, That's life. Life is
How old
bullshit.
is
If you were
this?
born a certain
How old is this guy? Because some of that's just online shit. Yeah, some people are petty, but in some ways that can also be empowering. Like I've thought that as being a public figure myself. Like I'm like there are some people that are going to hate me no matter what, and in a way that can be freeing, rather than it being depressing. Because it's not up to me to change those dumb minds. Who cares? Sometimes you just gotta let it go, like let that go, and then just own who you are and who you want to be.
way, like there's nothing you can do about it. And like that'll always be a negative on you. It's easier for other people and it'll be harder for you. I feel like most of life is decided from the moment you're born, depending on what location you're in, what kind of people are around you in the neighborhood you grew up in, what kind of family you have. All of that is decided from the moment you're born and will impact everything else in your life. So if you had a f***ed up family life, it's too late. Like that already
But this just is not necessarily true. He's right that of course your childhood is going to affect you into adulthood. Of course the circumstances you're born into are going to play a significant role in some of your behavior and your thought processes as you get older. Of course, none of this is not true. But I do think that this is a oversimplification of it, because just if you were born into a circumstance that makes things more difficult doesn't mean that it's impossible to get out of it. And that's why it's so challenging for sure. But it's also, I mean, first of all, if this guy had a fucked up childhood or something, I'm very sorry for him. And I don't say this as any way of being dismissive, only to just say there are also a lot of other people who have also had probably even more fucked up childhoods. Who knows? And there are some people who've been able to claw their way out of it, some people who haven't. This kind of goes back into the conversation around systems at play and also your own free will and personal choice and personal responsibility. There are systems at play. There are systems that can impact you. Absolutely. The type of system you're born into is going to impact you. And it's not up to individuals to change the entire system necessarily. However, it is up to the individual to do the best they can within whatever system they're stuck in to try and maximize their well-being. It is unfair that people need to work harder, but there are also times where just accepting that and then giving up, that's going to lead to depression. Don't let it take power over you in that way, I guess. As far as the systems that you were born into, there are ways that you can overcome it. If you feel like you can't, go to therapy and tell a therapist that you don't think you can overcome this thing, and I guarantee that they will help you walk through it.
like that already has a big effect on you, and you're gonna use the rest of your life to try and counteract all that bullshit that happened to you. Like it's really all about luck in that way. But life is bullshit. That's what it is. Life is bullshit, and no matter how hard I cry or complain about it, it's not going to change, right? This is just reality. I can dream about it. I can daydream all day about something better, but like this is reality. So I have to make what I can of it, right? Because we're all going to die someday anyways. So I just have to make what good I can of it, like whatever I can get out of this life. And whether it's making stupid videos, and I know no one's going to watch this, no one's going to give a or care about this, I'm still just going to put this up and hope someone can relate. I feel like no one gives a shit or cares about the problems I have or can relate to them. I want to try and do something where
I feel really bad for this guy. He seems to be really feeling isolated and alone. I would be willing to bet that there are a lot of people that would be able to relate to what this guy's saying. I can relate to some of the things he's saying here. I've struggled with depression for a large portion of my life. I still struggle with it.
I put it online, and I hope that people can listen and at least relate a little bit, that someone has these same issues. You know, I don't really love anyone in this world. I'm like really alone. Like I'm really fucking lonely. Like to a devastating extent. Like I'm
So he also said that he wants to be alone though, and that he prefers his own company, which is another really difficult thing to grapple with when you're struggling with depression, especially if it's like a really depressive episode in which you want to pull away from everybody and just hide and be left the fuck alone, but then simultaneously you really just long for like someone to be there and understand or something. But when you're depressed, you isolate. So then you're just telling everyone to fuck off when what you need are the people that are going to care about you there.
I'm such a loner. Like, it's just my whole life. That's all I'm used to, is being by myself. And I want to connect to someone. To me, like, the thought of being close to someone almost seems like a faraway dream. Like, it doesn't even seem like something that's real, yet it's so normal for other people. Yet for me to be close to someone, it just seems like something so far off that I could never do.
I feel bad for this guy. I feel like it, again, like he could totally be, he could just send this video to a therapist and be like, this is how I'm feeling. What can I do? Although getting real friends and getting friends, that's is a challenge, and it's getting more and more difficult with the way things are.
You know? And I don't know how I'm supposed to fix that. It's like, I was born a little weird, I guess. I don't know. I have Asperger's, maybe. I don't know, but I don't really know how to connect with anyone in a real way. Shit fucking bites at me, you know?
So yeah, I feel for this guy. It sounds like what he's saying is he's struggling with connecting with people and building like a strong friendship or relationship with people. And in turn, rather than fighting to change that, which seems to be something that's really weighing him down, he's sort of taking the pessimistic stance of, well, this is just how the world is. This is just how things are. And I just need to accept it. And it's sad. I feel bad, very bad for this guy, because I know how that feels also. But I can tell you right now that that is only going to make depression worse. It's only going to make you feel worse. It's like saying, I'm just going to accept that the world is as bleak as I currently see it.
I didn't do anything to deserve to be like this, but I'm just like that, I guess. And I'm going to make this video. And
But yeah, it sounds like what he really needs is to try to start building friendships in one way or another. Easier said than done, of course. But taking the pessimistic mindset of like, this is just how the world is, that just inspires you to give up.
But I just have to like keep trying, I guess. Hope at some point it gets better, but I don't know if it ever does. Or you just learn to live with it. You know? I guess it's a combination of things. Like, I'm tired of being alone, but I'm also just tired of like life in the world itself. I'm just in my room and I keep thinking all the time, and I wish that there was more to this life. I wish it was better, but like, that's reality, and I hate reality right now. All I find myself doing is wishing that things were different, that things were better. But like, this is just the cold reality right now. And
that's a very good point, Holly. Yeah, that him talking about it is the first step, and that he is seeking out support right now in this video. It's true.
And it's been like this for years, and I don't see it changing. And I try and change it, and it doesn't. Like, I try and take matters into my own hands, right? It's my own responsibility, and I want to do things better. I've started to be more productive, but like, nothing changes. I've put myself out there to try and talk to people, but it doesn't work. Like I'm just meant to be like this.
No, you're not. If being that way is causing you this much distress, then you're not meant to be that way. Then just accepting it, it's just going to make the depression worse. And it does suck because it's so easy to rationalize depression, especially when you're depressed. There are a lot of things that are wrong in the world. Sometimes it feels easy to rationalize depression or negativity. But I am really glad that he is talking about this.
But I hope I share this video and that someone relates to it. Someone can talk to me about this shit and tell me like, yeah, dude, I feel you, man. Like,
also something that helped me when I was really depressed, and like, because I reached a point at one time when I got super depressed, and then it was the only time in my life that I was suicidally depressed as well. Thankfully, I was okay. But I do remember also thinking, like, when the depression was so bad, I forget where I read it, but it said something like, you don't want to die, you just don't want to live like this. And that really helped me like put things into a different perspective when I realized that's true. Like, I don't actually want to be dead. I just don't want to live like this. And that is the evidence for you to change something. And talking about it, that is the first step. This you're taking the first step towards improving and living a better, happier, more fulfilled life.
I don't know. I feel like no one's gonna care. This isn't gonna reach anyone realistically. I say that as I hope that it does, but realistically,
It did. It did. Got 300,000 views, 21K likes. Nice.
It won't. Your dreams are one thing, reality's another thing. And that sucks to realize. That it really sucks. You know, like when you watch a TV show, play a video game or something like that, like it's like a great adventure. You know, there's a plot to it. There's a character goes through a problem, they change, and the problem is fixed. And that's not real life. Real life, there's a problem, you try your best to fix it, and you don't know if the problem's gonna solve it. It probably won't.
Well, to be fair, if he was struggling with environmental depression and then is making changes in his environment and he's still not improving from the depression, then you might, again, you will benefit the most by talking to a trained medical professional, because you could be struggling with, like, at that point, like a legitimate chemical imbalance depression, like a neurotransmitter related type of depression.
You know, you probably just get the bad ending. Your whole life is just a bad ending, and there's not much you can do about it. It feels like.
I feel bad for this guy.
I wish I could have lived a normal life. I wish I could have lived a normal life, I think.
Your life isn't, his life isn't over.
I've just always, everything's always been so weird. Life feels so strange. I wish I could have just been normal, lived a normal life. But like from the time I was a small child, I had behavioral issues, I had family issues. Everything was just strange. I've never fit in.
Like that almost sounds like autism at that point. If you're saying this was something that was from an early age, from when you were a tiny child, like, but I don't know. I'm not a professional. I'm not trying to watch video to diagnose somebody. I just feel sorry for him. Yeah, Elbow, get this boy some Zoloft, please.
I was just born to live a weird life like this. It's tiring, man. It's really tiring, and most people don't get it. But I'll finish off with this message, is that life is absolute bullshit, but you should have to accept that and try and do whatever good you can do before you die, because we're all gonna die someday anyways. We're all gonna die. Don't worry, it's gonna come. If you want to die, don't kill yourself. Just wait, because you're gonna die. Just try and get what good you can out of it, especially while you're young. And that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try and share this so that anyone else that's struggling, I really hope that I can try and reach you and tell you that, like, hey man, we just gotta try, you know? We gotta keep trying and hope things get better. Maybe someday.
This is a kind of positive. It's definitely positive as far as, like, we can hope for things to get better, but it's a very cynical sort of perspective at the same time. It's just sad. I feel bad for this guy.
It'll give. And that's what I want to do. I think I'm gonna make a lot of videos and stuff talking about things like this, and just try and make someone's day better that struggles with the same stuff. There's so much more I want to say.
As somebody who has depression, I can relate with some of this stuff. But that video just reminds me that young men need to be reached out to in, I guess, like a different way at times. Men need to be encouraged to be more open about their feelings, and also, like, I don't know, I just think that there is there are a lot of economic issues as well, but I think it's going to, because of the expectations, impact people differently as well. So, for example, if there's economic hardships right now, everybody's struggling. Well, men are the ones expected to be making the money, and they're the ones expected to be kind of gritting their teeth, putting their head down, and doing what they need to do, and not making a big deal about it. Don't make a fuss. Be stoic. These are a lot of the expectations on men. So while everybody suffers from loneliness and economic issues and whatnot, men might suffer differently. Not more, but differently, because of the gendered expectations placed upon them. Same thing happens with women, by the way. Women struggle differently as well because of the type of expectations placed on them. And the sad thing is that these guys like Andrew Tate and the red pill stuff, they try to offer these lost, sad men some kind of advice, but unfortunately they just put them down, like I've said before, a path towards destruction, towards sexism, towards just blanket misogyny, and just an overall loss of what you are really hoping to achieve, because it's going to hurt your ability to actually have a family if that's what you want, or get married, or even meet somebody. It's going to affect all of that if you're a misogynistic piece of shit, or if you think all of your problems are because of women or something. A lot of men are, I think, directionless at the same time, and so they are quick to listen to people like Jordan Peterson and Andrew Tate and these other voices that claim to speak for men, but all they do is give men advice that's not really very good. It's usually the same toxic stuff. I don't know about Jordan Peterson that much, but I know for Andrew Tate, it's very much the same toxic shit. Put your head down. Your job as the man is to work. Your job as the man is to be an asset, essentially. What men really, I think, would benefit from is more understanding. Not, hey, man, this is what you're supposed to do. This is what you should be doing. 100, they'd listen to you too if you told them to clean their rooms. Yeah, clean your room, everybody, okay? But no, I just want to be clear that I don't think that that like men are necessarily uniquely struggling more than women or something, but I think that everybody is struggling in a bit of a different way and for different reasons. And I think that the way that we reach out to men, these messages need to be made more palpable for men as well. I think that a lot of the times the toxic masculinity buzzwords like this, it can sometimes throw people off. So many people are under this impression, so many men are under this impression that the left just hates men because they think masculinity is toxic. When that's why I always try to bring up how it's really about expectations that are harmful to the man. So somebody else had some advice for the lads out there. Redeemed Zoomer. Yay. That's right. A redeemed Zoomer with 36,000 dislikes on this video, mind you. Sounds like a banger. Why are young men so lonely? Well, we've looked into this. We've talked about it. Maybe I can just Google it too, just to, find out. Why are men... The tough guy image resulting from masculine norms discourages some men from expressing their emotional needs or desires. This can quickly lead to emotional isolation, even for those men with people in their lives who care deeply about them. Well, let's listen to this guy explain how actually it's because we all need Jesus to come inside of us or something. Inside of our hearts.
Depression. There's an epidemic of depression among young men, and even the media recognizes this, but the solutions they provide are honestly crap.
Go to therapy, be more emotional, travel, go for a walk. So not be more emotional, but have more emotional maturity. And yet go to therapy would be very beneficial. Travel? I don't know who says that. Oh, men, you're lonely? Go to Paris.
Because the so-called experts really have no idea what a man is, or what a woman is for that matter, because modern people see humans as just elevated animals who want nothing more than their carnal desires.
Wait, humans are animals. Redeemed Zoomer spent too much time in Sunday school, he forgot about real school.
This is not true at all. Inside the heart of every man is a warrior. All men need something to fight for. Part of the reason why sports and video games are so popular among modern men is because there's not much for men to fight for in the real world, but men still look up to heroes and role models who fight for what they believe in. Why do you think men think about the Roman Empire so much? There's a reason.
Okay, if you're a man thinking about the Roman Empire a bunch, let me tell you right now, I have solved your loneliness. I figured it out. I figured out not why all men are lonely, but why you, young man, thinking about the Roman Empire is lonely. I've figured it out. I've solved it. It's because you're spending all day LARPing about the fucking Roman Empire, buddy. Actually, for you, it might even help for you to go for a walk. Travel. Deep down, all men just want a warrior in them.
There's a reason the Bible refers to God in masculine terms, despite the fact that God has no gender according to his divine essence. It's because the Bible compares God to a mighty warrior, and
Could it have anything to do with men writing the Bible? I don't even understand what is this getting at. Because the Bible describes God as a he, it's because God, although him as a deity is genderless, he is a warrior.
the Bible also says men are made with a desire to work, if that work is productive and creates.
The Lord God took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden to work it and take care of it. You're talking about the Garden of Eden, right? You're talking about before this happened, before they ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, before they were kicked out. So before then, work was not like toil, because the Bible said that once they ate the fruit, Adam would have to toil away at the ground, and it would be harder to grow things and basically make it so that work is difficult now.
So why are men struggling so much these days? Well, it's because men need two things, something to work for and something to fight for, and modern society gives them neither of those things. First of all, the school system is basically rigged against boys because it discourages boys from being boys. From a young age, boys are taught to sit on their butts for 8 hours a day, and if they don't like that, they're diagnosed with ADHD. Guys are...
Okay. This is such an oversimplification of somewhat of a issue that he's talking about. It is true that the treatment boys and girls receive in the classroom actually is different. Boys tend to be criticized more. So there are some issues there that can totally be addressed. The world is not perfect. There's still things that need to change. But there are also certain studies that have suggested that female students are oftentimes discouraged from certain things, even if the teacher herself is a female teacher. This is just an oversimplification where I think some of this, they might have like a point as far as like younger people in general should probably be getting more exercise maybe, but like acting as though the school system is penalizing boys for being boys. Okay.
Discouraged from being creative, adventurous, or funny, so normal male behavior gets branded as bad, and boys end up being seen as second-rate girls, because schools tend to promote more feminine traits like being organized and following directions.
What? Following instructions. Ah, yes. So us men need something to fight for, which in turn is also going to come with, what was the other thing? We need to work. Oh yeah, something to work for, something to fight for. Both of those things are going to, at times, require following instructions. You realize that, right? Something to work for? Okay, I want to work for my family. Here we go. I'm at my job. How do I do my job? I listen to the boss and follow the instructions. What are you, gay?
And following directions. That's why all those 20 highlighter girls, whose notes look like you could publish them in an art gallery, end up doing so much better in school, not because they're necessarily smarter than the guys, but because they're a lot better at doing the mindless busy work that teachers hand out, which is honestly just an excuse for teachers to not do any teaching.
How does he just like make this into a bad thing? Girls doing school? Well, it's because women. The femoid brain is just better at the meaningless busy work. Us men need to be out conquering.
So men falling behind academically is one of the reasons that society gives them nothing to work for, but they also have nothing to fight for these days.
It is true that men are falling behind academically. Boys are way more likely to repeat grades. They're not graduating college at nearly as high rates. There are definitely, again, things to address. And some of them could be unfair expectations. But again, you can't just blanket the school system sets men up. They just want the boys to be girls.
Traditionally, the things men would fight for are their faith, family, and country. But modern society has...
Oh no. Are we going to go into are we going fascist directions here? Because you realize that if you think this is what men need to fight for, the next step up, right? If you think this is really going to fix all of men's problems, the next step up, dude, is to start enforcing this shit via the government. And when you start trying to legislate people's faith, family, you're getting into fascistic territory.
Has abandoned all of these things. In terms of faith, Gen Z is the least religious generation in human history. It's also the most depressed generation in human history, and that's why a lot of young men turn to political extremism, because they need something to believe in, but a lot of young men also believe in nothing and become nihilist, and they try to drown out their meaninglessness with marijuana, video games, and pornography.
So he is also, I feel like by bringing up the least religious generation and then mentioning that they're the most depressed, interesting. Pretty sure that you can look in the Scandinavian countries, which are actually have very high rates of a-religiosity, people that are just very neutral towards religion. I'm pretty sure those areas also have really good, that they have really good mental health.
For family, back when the church had power in society and encouraged monogamy, most men were able to find a wife. Because
oh no. Back when the church had authority in society. Okay, there's something. This guy's almost hiding his power level right now.
You had one man assigned to every one woman, and there's about an equal number of men and women in the world. Mathematically, everyone's gonna find someone. But ever since the church's authority declined and was replaced by hookup culture, now we've kind of reverted to a prehistoric model of polygamy, where a few men get all the women and the rest of the men don't get any.
Oh no.
Either way, it's really hard for the average man to start a family.
Yeah, that's the bullshit, like, incel thing, where it's like, what was it, like, the top 10% of the women are all with the, or no, it was 90% of the women are fighting for like 10% of the guys or something. Like, it's just, you think that this is like because everybody stopped believing in God or something because of the church.
For country, this country has spent the past 20 years telling men that they're the oppressor, which kind of explains why men are
toxic masculinity, recognizing male privilege. Interesting how both of these arguments, or both these articles, don't say anything about men being oppressors or even evil. It literally is saying, where did it come from? And is it useful or harmful? This headline is literally questioning it. Recognizing male privilege? Yeah, look at the list. Look at the list, bro. Are you mad because you see your own reflection?
not too keen to fight for their country anymore.
Man, men used to be happy when they would go off and die for American oil interests.
Now, back in the day, what gave men something to work for and something to fight for was the church, specifically the Protestant churches, and I'll explain why. First of all, the Protestant work ethic, which of course the left says is racist, says that you should work as hard
We'll have to look into that at some point. I bet it is.
as possible because you're glorifying God in doing so by building up his kingdom, and that's why historically Protestant men built the most successful societies to ever exist.
Dude, that's like toxic productivity on steroids. Now it's like, it is your job to work. Why? Because of a crippling fear of failure? Because all my self-esteem is built on this one thing? No, because God himself commands you as a man to fucking work. This is so cringe and also so depressing and meaningless. Why do I care about glorifying God? I bet half these people were really, like, what are they really doing? They're glorifying their own society. Where they're building massive civilizations like he's showing or whatever, they're glorifying their own society. This is just a phony, like, oh, think that you're glorifying God. It's like holding the carrot in front of you almost. You're not glorifying God through your work. It doesn't even make sense. It just doesn't follow why working would glorify God, because it's his kingdom or something. Okay.
Now, all religion could give people something to fight for, but Protestantism specifically has this doctrine called the priesthood of all believers, which is that it's the job of every individual believer to be a soldier for God's kingdom by sharing the good news about Jesus.
Great. Oh, great. So not only should you be out toiling away in the mines because of God, but now it's also your God-given responsibility to be as annoying as possible to everybody, reminding them about how, hey, don't forget that if you don't turn, then you will burn.
And of course, Protestantism isn't the only form of Christianity, but I do believe it's been most successful in accomplishing the mission of Christianity, and it puts the most emphasis on personally believing and understanding that Jesus Christ died for your sins and rose again from the dead, and through him you can be raised from the dead as well.
Oh, right. So we're back into the classic. If you don't believe a certain way, you will burn in hell. God is a just God. He is a righteous God. God embodies justice, but he does not judge people according to the wrongs they've done or the rights they've done. He doesn't judge them on anything, actually, except as to whether or not they believe in him. And in that case, are you really even a fair judge? How are you the ultimate justice if you're judging on the basis of belief and nothing else?
So if young men band together and do a crusade to restore the institutional churches, it'll do a few things. First of all, it's going to completely solve the male loneliness epidemic. You know, it used to be completely unheard of for people to not have friends.
Is this a meme? Did this mofo just advocate a motherfucking crusade? Not really, but come on.
Because everyone's community was through the local church.
I'm pretty sure that a large reason that male loneliness is a thing is because of the workforce changing as well. Men used to fight for, if you want to put it that way, the job. They would go to manufacturing jobs and other physical labor related jobs and things like this. That's going away. That's gone away. That also is hurting men's abilities to make friends.
It'll give men something to fight for. We all know that men bond with each other over going on an adventure and having some cause to be passionate about. And number 3, it will save the souls of people in Generation Z. You know, Christianity isn't just good because it's useful. It's good because it's objectively true, and because it delivers a message that saves people from eternal...
It's objectively true. He says subjectively.
And because it delivers a message that saves people from eternal death and grants them eternal life. And eternal life is something that Generation Z desperately needs right now. And finally, revive...
Wow. Yikes. Oh, man. What is going on? It's just, this thing is objectively true. Hey, man, it'll give you something to fight for. You realize that you just brought up earlier how men are sometimes more prone to radical political extremism? Your reason for this being that they didn't have the church to fight for some dumb shit. But it's true that if you're feeling lost and directionless, you are more susceptible to extremism. But guess what, redeemed Zoomer? You are preaching extremism. You're preaching the extremism that some of these sad, depressed young men are more susceptible to. You're teaching this bullshit. Also, just huge shout out to the fact he said toxic masculinity is not real, and then just said, like, young men should just start a crusade if we want to make friends. Toxic masculinity isn't real, but the only way for me to express my masculine energy is by mass war.
Having the institutional church will make the culture better for both young men and young women, because it's going to rebuild strong families and communities that are centered around a common purpose. So if you're looking to explore...
Oh yeah, it'll help women so much. Hey wife, shut the fuck up. Go make my kids, make my sandwich, okay? And leave me alone. I'm the man, I lead the home. When marriages are equal, when relationships are equal, those relationships are healthier and last longer. The Christian archetype for a relationship is the man is the head of the household and he leads the house. But that is not actually the most healthy method for a successful relationship. So your objective religion actually doesn't even help improve cultures for men and women as far as the marriage and whatnot.
So if you're looking to explore a Christian community, I made a map of historic Protestant churches all around the world, so you can find a Protestant church close to you.
Bring many rolls of toilet paper. We're going to the nearest Protestant church. Let's go!
Churches are either ugly or liberal, but I made sure that every church on my map is both traditional in terms of teaching and in terms of style.
Why do you show a church with the wooden pew? Not the wooden pews.
And if you want online Christian community, you're welcome to join the Redeemed Zoomers Discord, where you can meet Christians of all different denominations to learn about their distinctive practices and beliefs and traditions. But of course, this is not meant to be a substitute for real church, because we encourage everyone in the server to go to church in real life as well.
Damn it. I wanted to go to Discord church.
And if you're already a strong Christian and you want something to fight for, you can join Operation Reconquista. We are a group of mainline Protestants fighting to take back our traditional churches from secularists that have hijacked it. So there's going to be a link in the description of this video explaining how this is going to work.
What's with the weird music in the back? background.
The bottom line is, if you're a young man in today's world, the culture rejects you, but Jesus does not. So join the church and find something to believe in.
Wow.
Christianity isn't just...
So actually, the truth of the matter is that culture entirely does not reject men. There are some people that make poor arguments as far as toxic masculinity and shit like this. However, a lot of these talks about toxic masculinity are actually about these harmful expectations that are harming men as well. It's not about rejecting men from the culture. It's about raising awareness of how these cultural norms are rejecting men, how these cultural norms are hurting men. That's what it's really supposed to be about. It's supposed to be coming from a position of care and concern for a group of people who are being met with ridiculously unfair expectations. Yeah, there are economic issues, there are unfair expectations, there's emotional suppression. There are all kinds of issues that play a role in contributing to men feeling depressed. Just like there are all kinds of issues that contribute to women feeling depressed. But I can tell you right now, the answer is not to go to church. If you believe that stuff and that's where you want to go and you have community there, then it probably, or it could help, I guess. But if you're just going to go to church just 'cause, then yeah, no. God works in mysterious, inefficient, and breathtakingly cruel ways. Amen. I'll leave you with that. If you want to support the channel, please consider becoming a member today. Members get early access to videos, access to all the stream VODs, and exclusive access to emotes as well. So if you'd like to support the channel, become a member today.